All right. I'm live, guys. How's it going? Late Friday night in my car, just leaving the Jerry Rice Hills, what I call the Jerry Rice Hills here in the Bay Area. These are the hills where Jerry Rice used to run up to get in shape for the NFL season. Guess I'm doing the same thing. Running my mouth, getting in shape for this for 2025. We're gonna be going live a little bit more, doing a little bit more live podcasting. And I want to just kind of share my thoughts, a few thoughts on this past election that had everybody wound up. So, yeah, hope everybody's had a good week. Hope everybody had a good Friday night. Just gonna share my thoughts briefly, and bear with me because I'm just driving right now. Like I said, come down off the Jerry Rice Hills, and I'm just gonna want to share my thoughts a little bit. So, Lex is over, and looks like Donald Trump won again the presidency. As we can see, a lot of things happen this time around. As far as this was real interesting. I mean, it was more of the same, um, a remix of the same deal as far as Democrats, Republicans. I said on the last podcast, which was election night, that of course I don't have any inside information, but I definitely thought over the last 4 years it wasn't even any question for me. Even before I knew who the Democrats were going to have run for the presidency this time around, I figured that Donald Trump would be in office, even for the last 4 years, as um, looks like he was being prosecuted for criminal activity. And mind you, again, folks, I used to keep a close eye on politics over many decades. Over this last 4 years, I found myself uninterested for the most part, or distracted, I guess you could say. I've not really been keeping much up with presidential politics or geopolitics much, except for what's been shoved in my face. And you can't help but to get glimpses of these headlines, whether it's from Ukraine 4 years ago to immigration to you name it. My focus has been on the topic a little bit of reparations. That's definitely gotten my attention, reparations. And but I haven't paid much attention to politics. But I feel since I think before 4 years ago, I was involved in talking about politics and engaging in political conversations on social media. So this time around, it looks like Donald Trump has won the presidency and ran against Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris. I never pronounced that right. I forget what pronunciation it is. But it looks like it wasn't even close according to the numbers headed into election night. There was a lot of, again, and this is one time I've really focused more so than usual on how much attention it is on um, black people's vote, the black vote. Um, and also, I think some of the moves this year was, I don't know what they're going to be doing next year, giving black people dollar bills to go to the strip club um, to get a vote. Because after this year's, some of the tactics that were taken this year, just a whole lot. I think 4 years ago was just like cookouts, things like cookouts, cookouts for your fish cookouts and fish fries for the vote. This year it was just all out, ass shaking, and more of the same. Um, A-list celebrity performances and concerts. More and more interesting to get black people's vote. And Democrats and Republicans, but primarily Democrats, was what they do to get black people's attention. But that was really interesting this time around. All the talk and chatter about Kamala and her ethnicity online, and that was really, really interesting. And black single guys voting for Donald Trump with businesses. Like, I have a business, but I noticed that some other friends who are married, some other friends who are single, who are business owners, voted for Donald Trump. And I thought that was really interesting. And I noticed how all but like one of my friends, their wives, voted for Kamala. And it was to the degree where everybody that was in that situation, I was listening to some social media a couple of weeks ago, and on social media, a lady got on there and said how the wives and the husbands can't talk about politics anymore. They can't talk about politics because the men are voting for Donald Trump and the women want to vote for Kamala, and it's just leading to dissension within the household. So I have multiple friends who they can't talk about politics with their significant others because of the difference in opinion. It's just go in the booth and do what you do, and I'll go in the booth and do what I do, and we don't need to talk about it. That's kind of what's going on. So I think that's an interesting dynamic right there. Presidential politics breaking up families one vote at a time in our community, keeping families separated. I said, that's an interesting vibe right there. That's an interesting take. So that's another thing that I noticed that I thought was really interesting about this election. And it may happen every election. Maybe it's just these are things that I'm recognizing just now. Maybe this happens all the time. I don't know. Maybe not all the time, but maybe this has been the course of the way things have been going. But I've really noticed that this time around. I noticed even people that say they don't want to talk about politics, as far as relatives and friends that I know, people who don't even vote, they say, I don't want to talk about it, I'm not interested in that, I'm still doing what I'm doing, and then they break out and start talking and give me their opinion of it, of politics. So everybody really has a take, even when they don't think that they do. Something that I thought was interesting is now that Donald Trump is elected, and I've noticed scrolling through some of my social media that Donald Trump is actually talking about the immigration, really trying to make the immigrants, or trying to get back some of that money, or not kick out so much money for all these immigrant initiatives. So it looks like he's starting out with getting set for immigrant initiatives. And I was talking to a family member of mine. I also noticed one last thing, speaking of that, the demographics as far as age go. I noticed in the black community, for the most part, plus 60-year-olds are really distraught, and even if they're not distraught, they're hardcore Democrats. They're Democrats, hardcore. Under 60, it seems to be a more of a significant shift than I've ever seen before for black people. I can see that shift. Now I see that people vote for Republicans. Maybe that hasn't changed so much because all the people I know that are voting for Donald Trump, a lot of them make pretty much decent money. One of my buddies, we had a long discussion the other day, and he said, I guess he's a longshoreman. He said, hey man, I remember when I first started being a longshoreman, he's been there for 20 years. He said, I used to look at all these initiatives that were for, all these, what do you call these programs that are like social programs to help people. Yeah, I vote for this. I vote for this. I vote for this. I vote for this. All the social programs. You can see I would look at my check, and I see more taxes.